Comic Boom here to talk about the War of Jokes and Riddles. Guys, this is a great comic book series. It's written by Tom King. It's taken place between the issues 24 of Batman through issue 32, and it's this is really good stuff. I gotta say, overall, I just want to give you my immediate response is right up into the final issue. I thought this was a mediocre series. I wasn't really feeling it. I thought it was a little bit hit and miss. I thought it had highs and lows, but I thought it wouldn't necessarily be extraordinary. But I gotta tell you, that final issue 32 with that secret that Batman was hiding from Catwoman after he proposed to her. Remember, Batman, he sits Selina Kyle down after he just finished, doing the nasty with her, and he figures, he's gonna propose to her, but he doesn't feel right proposing to her unless she knows all his secrets. And there's one secret that Batman feels she really needs to know. And you gotta figure it's gotta be huge. And I really thought the secret wasn't gonna be that big a deal. I thought, well, what secret of Batman haven't we seen? I mean, all these decades of Batman stories, we've heard all the secrets. So I really had my doubts that Tom King could really surprise me. But damn, issue 32 of Batman, guys, I gotta tell you, he pulls it off. He pulls it off in grand fashion. That big secret that he has that basically ended the war of jokes and riddles and made Catwoman realize that she really did want to marry Batman, that he really did disclose to her his biggest secret, that if it was known could potentially seriously affect people's viewpoint of Batman, particularly Commissioner Gordon and the Justice League. This is a fairly big secret, and the fact that he told this secret to Selina Kyle, well, that says quite a bit. So, what's the secret? Well, the secret is, and this is in issue 32, the secret is that Batman, frankly, he wanted to kill the Riddler, and he attempted to kill the Riddler, but the Joker stopped him. It was the Joker that prevented Batman from killing Riddler. Now, when you think about that, you think that makes no sense, because Batman would never kill. I mean, what would drive Batman to actively try to kill the Riddler? So much so that the Joker was the one that would step in and stop Batman from doing so. I mean, it sounds ridiculous on its face. It sounds like some sort of crazy Elseworld story or something that would never happen. But yet it did. Well, how did it happen? Well, that essentially is the story of Jokes and Riddles. And Jokes and Riddles is an epic that starts off with issue 24 of Batman, and this is the famous issue where Batman proposes to Selina. This is the sold out issue where Bruce Wayne finally breaks down and he proposes to Selina, and then he follows it up by essentially saying, look, I have a secret I need to tell. Before you give me your answer, you need to know my secret. And because it's not right of me to ask or for you to answer without knowing everything about me, particularly my biggest secret. And he begins to tell her the story of the War of Jokes and Riddles. And the War of Jokes and Riddles takes place in the first year of Batman. So it basically takes place, Bruce Wayne has already been Batman for a year. Things are going fairly well in Gotham. He's kicking ass. He's considered the world's greatest detective, the Dark Knight. He's got all these nicknames that the public has given him. Batman's flying high. He's at the end of that first year. He's really making a good impression on the people of Gotham. And for the most part, he's been successful. He's defeated the Riddler, he's defeated the Joker, he's defeated the Penguin, he's defeated all the Batman's rogue galleries that we come to know and love. Two-Face, Poison Ivy, Killer Croc. He's defeated them all. Deadshot, Deathstroke. He's basically taken them all out. And Gotham is, generally speaking, it's still kind of a dive, Gotham City. It's still kind of a darker place in the DC universe, but it's safer than it used to be in large part thanks to Batman. In light of this, the Joker's very depressed. The Joker has stopped laughing. The Joker's trying to find a way to laugh again, and the Joker can't find a way to laugh again. And so the Joker begins by basically trying to find some way to laugh again. So he goes and he attacks comedy clubs and he tries to find comedians that'll make him laugh, and if they don't make him laugh, he kills them. And the Joker's sort of going on a sporadic killing spree. And Batman has an idea what he's doing and can kind of understand the insanity of the Joker a little bit, but so can the Riddler. And the Riddler knows exactly what the Joker's doing. And the Riddler has a plan. So Riddler breaks out of prison. Riddler breaks out of prison because he has all the ins on the guards and he threatens the guards. They don't let him go. He knows where their families live. The Riddler, he gets out of prison and he knows where the Joker is, and he goes and he confronts the Joker. And he confronts the Joker in a high-rise building, and it's these are epic spreads in these comic books. It was in the epic 25th issue of Batman, an epic spread where the Riddler confronts the Joker, saying knock knock, to which the Joker naturally responds by saying who's there. And the Riddler makes the Joker a proposal, basically saying to the Joker, look, I understand, but let's be blunt here. I don't want you to kill the Joker. I don't want you, the Joker, to kill Batman, and you don't want me, the Riddler, to kill Batman. So we don't want to be the one that's left out in the cold, so let's join forces and take out the Batman. Because ever since he's been around, he's thrown a wrench into our plans. Well, the Joker, upon hearing the Riddler's proposal, throws a wrench into the Riddler's plan because he shoots the Riddler. And he thinks he kills the Riddler. And basically he leaves. Well, Batman shows up. He sees that the Riddler isn't going to survive the gunshot wound. So the Riddler, so Batman makes a strategic call, and he decides to leave the Riddler to die because he can't save him. And he knows the Riddler, and he knows, pardon me, that the Joker is more danger on the loose, so he goes to try to capture the Joker. He fails in capturing the Joker. The Riddler manages to find an old doctor who heals him up, and of course the war of Jokes and Riddles begins. The Joker and the Riddler go to war against each other, and this is where things really heat up, and this is where Batman really begins to experience, and you really see this in issue 26. The Joker and the Riddler began to recruit various people to their side of this war. It's the Joker versus Riddler, and they begin to recruit each other. The Joker recruits the ventriloquist, Penguin, Mr. Freeze. Meanwhile, the Riddler recruits Killer Croc, Poison Ivy, Two-Face, and they go to war against each other. Deathstroke ends up working for the Joker, Deathstroke ends up working for the Riddler, Deadshot ends up working for the Joker, and those two mercenaries try to take out the Batman, but end up fighting each other. And what Batman realizes is that he can't win this. He can't stop it. He can't protect the people of Gotham. So many people die, and he can't stop it. As good as he is, there are simply too many forces at play here, and Batman isn't quite as experienced as he would eventually become, so he's really at wit's end, but he's got to figure something out. So what is he going to do? He's sort of at wit's end. Now, in the midst of all this chaos, enters a character that truly represents the heart and soul of this entire story, and that character is Kite Man. Now, the crazy thing about Tom King introducing this character of Kite Man is that Kite Man itself, the greatest irony and in the greatest stroke of brilliance on the part of Tom King, is that Kite Man himself is somewhat of a joke. You would think, as a matter of fact, that Kite Man would be the punchline to a joke, or at least the solution to a very bad riddle. Kite Man is a joke, but that's the irony, is that the use of Kite Man here, Kite Man is the key to this whole story. It's the heart and soul of the story. Kite Man goes by the name of Charlie Brown. His name is literally Charlie Brown. He's got a son who's also named Charlie Brown. Well, in the midst of this war, Charlie Brown is kind of a low-life felon, and he used to work for the Joker. He did some work on an old Joker-mobile, and so he wants to get in on it to sort of make a quick buck. So basically he approaches Deadshot and says, as a potential in to the Joker. Well, the Riddler sees that this nobody named Charlie Brown is essentially wants to get into the Joker's good books, and so the Riddler wants to use the Kite Man to lure Joker out in the open. So, poor Charlie Brown. Batman finds out that Charlie's being used as a pawn. The Riddler wants to use Charlie as a pawn to lure out the Joker. The Joker discovers through Charlie Brown that he's going to be a pawn. So all three of them, the Batman, Riddler, and the Joker, are all know what Charlie Brown is up to. And per Charlie Brown, he's a pawn in this game, in this war of jokes and riddles. And it's really sad and pathetic. And at the end of the day, Kite Man ultimately ends up being protected by Batman, while the Joker and Riddler are doing their things, trying to draw each other out, and the Riddler ends up poisoning the string on his son's kite. And while the Batman had put his son in protective custody, what Batman did not do, it never occurred to Batman that the Riddler would be so cruel as to put poison on the boy's kite. And ultimately, while Kite Man was ostensibly basically being a pawn in this game, his son was ultimately killed by the Riddler because of the poison on his kite. And poor Kite Man had really nowhere else. He trusted that Batman would help him, would protect his son, but that was not the case. And so here we have poor, pathetic Kite Man. Not only does he feel low, but he has ultimately failed his son. His son has died, and died in the worst circumstance, and Batman has utterly failed. This is one of Batman's most profound early failures of his career. He failed miserably to protect a child from dying, and and you really see the extent to which Batman's anger in his failure to protect Kite Man's son, young Charlie, that really manifests itself at the end of this epic storyline. And it resolves itself in a rather very grand fashion, and ultimately leads to the secret that Batman wants to tell Catwoman. And a quick point about Kite Man is, in Kite Man's relationship with his son, he always told his son not to swear, because Charlie Brown was raised to believe, according to what his mother told him, that if you said something bad, that it might actually happen. So if you said the word hell, for example, you could end up going to hell. So he always encouraged his young boy, don't say bad words, in particular, don't say hell. And that seemed to be an ongoing theme of the series throughout this arc, in the various issues, from at least issues 25 all the way to the end of issue 32. There's this phrase, hell yeah. Kite Man ultimately would express himself by saying hell yeah. The phrase would even be used by the Riddler, saying hell yeah. The idea being that hell was something that one of his last dying stories that his young son told his dad, Kite Man, was, Daddy, I'm sorry, but I said the bad word. Am I going to end up, is the worst going to happen? Am I going to end up going to hell, is what he was trying to ask his dad. Now, ultimately, his son died before Kite Man could answer his question. It was very tragic, very emotional, and it's really sad, because this young boy died feeling bad for uttering a swear word, for uttering something like the word hell. And of course, hell is a perfect word to describe the War of Jokes and Riddles, because a lot of people died. And of course, it underscores, war is hell. And it underscores the failure of Batman in order to protect the boy. And the fact that Kite Man's son died before ever knowing that, it's okay to swear once in a while. You're not going to go to hell. Everything is going to be okay. You're going to a good place, kid. Everything's okay. It was a very gut-wrenching scene. And Tom King, my God, he made us feel for somebody like Kite Man. It was just a gut-wrenching scene. But Kite Man then wants some vengeance, and it's hell yeah. And that's really sort of Kite Man's phrase throughout the series, is that he wants revenge on the Riddler, and he wants to do whatever it takes in order to get that vengeance. And so that is a huge motivation going forward. Now, we then proceed with, as the War of Jokes and Riddles heats up, ultimately Batman has to do something, because it's absolutely crazy. During the height of the War of Jokes and Riddles, Deadshot and Deadpool went to war against each other, and Batman essentially took them both out, but at great cost, and it took him 5 days to do so, resulting, I think it was 80 or it was 100 dead in Gotham, all from the war between Deadshot and Deathstroke. And that price is something that Batman, his failures kept compounding. So finally he decided that the only way to actually stop the War of Jokes and Riddles is that Batman decided that he had to pick a side. He says, if I can't defeat both of them, then I have to join the side of one of them and defeat the other, and then defeat them one at a time, because I can't defeat them both at the same time. Because between the two of them, they encompass my entire rogues gallery. I can't take all these people out at the same time. But if I join one side, I can maybe defeat the other, and then go from there. And that's exactly what he does. But in order to do that, he's got to bring the Joker and the Riddler together. And he does that through the help of Commissioner Gordon, who meets by basically stripping down to his undies for the Riddler, and completely naked, I believe, for the Joker. And he goes, and Commissioner Gordon arranges a meeting between the Joker and the Riddler in the presence of Bruce Wayne at Wayne Manor. Now, this is early in the career, so neither the Joker nor the Riddler know that Batman is Bruce Wayne. I don't think they ever really discover that, but in any event, that they meet at Wayne Manor, and Alfred there, he basically is making them dinner, and of a 5-course meal, and Bruce Wayne is saying, look, I want to save this city. Batman's playing the role, of course, as playboy billionaire Bruce Wayne, and he's playing the role very well, making it clear to them, look, I want credit for saving this city, and I can't save it while you guys are at war. I want to broker a peace between the two of you, so here's the deal. One of you convinces me which one of you is better. One of you convinces me why you should have the right to kill Batman. And if you can convince me, whichever one convinces me, I will cut you a check for $1 billion. And that $1 billion you can use however you like, and you're probably going to use it to bribe public officials, to bribe the police, to do whatever it is like, buy more weapons, whatever. But I will give you $1 billion. And I will use my vast resources, and I will assure you that Batman will fight on that particular side, and will bring this war to an end, or at least that's what I propose. And he proposed that. And the Riddler basically went on this long speech saying why he should get the $1 billion. And it was basically because he thought that the Joker was really a joke, and that he was just basically insane. And the Joker's response was really, the reason why I should get the money is quite simply because who's afraid of the Riddler? Like, the Riddler is a joke. The Riddler is, who even knows the Riddler? So they both basically belittle each other. And we ultimately find out Batman he decides to fight on the side of the Riddler. And fighting on the side of the Riddler, he slowly begins to take out all the people who are fighting along on the side of the Joker. So takes out the Penguin, the ventriloquist, he takes out Mr. Freeze. So Batman slowly starts to take them out, and at the same time, it's clearly revealed that the Kite Man is fighting, of course, the Kite Man is fighting for the Joker, because the Kite Man wants to take out the Riddler. So, and that doesn't surprise anyone, because of course Kite Man would fight on the Joker side, because he wants to get revenge on the Riddler for killing his son. And every time Batman takes out one of the Joker's henchmen, whether it's Mr. Freeze or the ventriloquist or the Penguin, there's always some additional scenes shown where the Batman is once again taking out Kite Man. So it looks like there's an ongoing humiliation of the Kite Man. The Kite Man is constantly being beaten. At one point, Batman even says to him, "For God's sakes, Kite Man, stay down. Stay down already. Leave it alone. Let it go." And it really hammers home just how pathetic Kite Man is. He's a man at the lowest of his low. He's lost his son. He's losing this war. He's picked the wrong side in the war of Jokes and Riddles. Batman, for whatever reason, he's sided with the Riddler to take out the Joker. But as readers, we're thinking, well, it's a tough decision Batman had to make, but Batman did it. And clearly Batman is at some point probably going to defeat the Joker and then turn around and betray the Riddler and take out Riddler. That's where we thought the plot line was going, but there's a little more to it. And by the way, one of the rules that the Batman had in joining the Riddler's team was that there's no lethal force. So he said to Riddler, look, I'll join your team, but no killing, because I can take out the Joker's side without there being any bloodshed. And that's exactly what Batman did. Now, this builds up to a head in issue 31 and 32, because in finally defeating the Kite Man, Batman wants to use, they're setting up the Kite Man. The Riddler has set up Kite Man to basically be the final henchman to take out of the Joker. And of course, Kite Man, who is the confidant of the Joker, knows exactly where the Joker is. And so Kite Man is essentially forced to betray the Joker. And this leads Kite Man to work with Batman and the Riddler to finally attack the Joker at his last refuge, which is this high-rise tower in the heart of Gotham City. And Kite Man sets up all the henchmen, Killer Croc, Poison Ivy, Penguin, all the people that were fighting on the side of the Riddler. Of course, they all have their own kites created by the Kite Man to attack this high-rise power with the Batman and take out and confront the Joker. And that's exactly what they do. And what happens when they get there? Well, it's incredible, because they get in there and they do. I mean, Joker's all by himself. You think Joker's defeated, it's all going to be over. And then lo and behold, it's revealed that Kite Man himself had a trick up his sleeve, and he was working with Batman, and Batman had a trick up his sleeve. They pulled a fast one on the Riddler. Just when Riddler thinks he's going to take out the Joker himself, Kite Man pushes a button and boom, all his kites force all of the other rogues out of the high tower, out of the high-rise tower, ascends them all into the deep sky, where they suffocate, and Alfred's going to pick them up because they're all going to be unconscious because of the thin air. Meanwhile, that leaves only the Riddler, Kite Man, the Joker, and Batman in a room, and that's where things really start to heat up. Now, Kite Man can't help but resist to sort of rub it in the Riddler's face. The Riddler then in anger, knocks out Kite Man because he's been humiliated and betrayed by Kite Man. So Riddler's ego won't let him admit that he was essentially defeated by Kite Man. So all this time it's revealed that Kite Man was always on Batman's side, in a sense. He wasn't the fool. That Kite Man was playing a role that was assigned to him, and that he trusted in Batman, that even despite the loss of his son, that him fighting on the side of the Joker, he continued to stay on the side of the Joker to play his role in this war of jokes and riddles, so to eventually help end it. So there's a nobility to Kite Man and the sacrifice he was making. So all the times he was beat up by Batman, that was Kite Man putting on a show, that he was doing that just to further the deception, to further gain the trust of the Joker, which would ultimately lead to all of them confronting the Joker in the high-rise tower, and ultimately resulting in Batman confronting both the Riddler and Joker, just the three of them in a room with an unconscious Kite Man. So the real hero of this entire epic is really Kite Man. Kite Man, by playing second fiddle and third and fourth and fifth fiddle throughout this whole series, it's really his choices that and his failures and ultimately his redemptive success at the end that made it possible for Batman to confront Joker and the Riddler at the end. And boy, what a confrontation. And that's where things get really good, because the secret then is revealed, because while all this is going on, there's flashbacks, or there's flash forward sequences of Bruce Wayne talking to Catwoman and saying, look, Selina, here's the secret. All these people died, and there's full page spreads of all the people who died in the War of Jokes and Riddles, and it was absolutely awful. Full page spreads showing all the people who died in the War of Jokes and Riddles, showing again and again and again all those people who died. And thus we have Batman confronting Riddler and Joker, saying, all right, this is it. And there's an epic scene where he's battling both of them, and all three of them are fighting very hard, and it's clear that Batman's winning, and it's clear that Batman defeats the Riddler, and it looks like Batman had betrayed the Riddler. In other words, it looks like Batman betrayed the Riddler, which he did. But what's interesting here is that when you flash back to that scene when Bruce Wayne had to choose which one was going to get his money and which team that Batman was going to be on, it's clear that Batman felt that Riddler was the worst villain. That it was more important to stop the Riddler than it was to stop the Joker. It's important to stop both of them, but what's interesting is that in Batman's eyes, he has some vengeance that he wants to take out on the Riddler. And boy, does he try to take it out here, because the Riddler taunts Batman, tells him, and he talks about the joke that the Kite Man was, that the Kite Man is, and he talked callously about killing the Kite Man's son. And the Batman is watching all this, and you can tell that Batman's fuming. But what's pissing off Riddler more than anything else is the fact that the Joker isn't laughing. Because he says to the Joker, you finally won. You created a situation where I'm humiliated by Kite Man, and you're still not laughing. You're still not laughing. We got this. This is the ultimate joke. Why aren't you laughing? The Riddler gets so upset because the Riddler's thinking, like, look, this is an opportunity. He's saying to the Joker, this is an opportunity. We can defeat the Batman. And he's angry at the Batman. He says to him, by making this war, by losing this war, we solved this. We solved the ultimate riddle. we had everything, and you had to go, and you had to go, and you had to blow it, and don't you get it? Do I have to explain it to you? He's insulting the Batman. He says to the Batman, are you that stupid? And he's angry and he's upset. And that's where Batman essentially tries to kill the Riddler. He, with intent, takes a knife and he wants to stab the Riddler in the face as revenge for killing young Charlie Brown Jr., for killing Kite Man's son. And that's Batman's secret. Batman's secret is that he tried to kill the Riddler with intent, with planning. The point is that Batman attempted to kill the Riddler, and the person who stops Batman from killing the Riddler is the Joker. And that's what makes it so incredible, is that his greatest enemy, the Joker, is who prevents Batman from crossing the line and taking a human life for the first time. It's the Joker, his greatest enemy, prevents Batman from crossing that line into the darkness that all his rogues galleries have entered into numerous times. And that's the greatest irony here. That's Batman's greatest secret, and that's why he wanted to tell Selina that secret, because he wants Selina to be able to make the choice by saying, look, Selina, I want you to know that I would have crossed that line. I'm not who you think I am. I'm not who people think I am. I'm not this hero. I actually have darkness in me. I would have embraced that darkness, but it was my greatest enemy, a psychopathic killer, the Joker, who prevented me from crossing that line. And finally, after doing that, it was that one act that the Joker did that finally made the Joker laugh, because that was the one joke, the one riddle that finally made the Joker get his laughter back again. And that's the ultimate irony here. There's a number of people that were saved in this arc, which makes it so incredible, because the Joker himself got his laughter back, while Batman himself was saved, was redeemed, because he was prevented from falling into darkness by the Joker. The Joker, by saving the Batman, by preventing the Batman from killing the Riddler, found his laughter again. And the Batman was prevented from becoming the very bad guy that he always fights against. And meanwhile, the Riddler becomes the sad Riddler that he always was, the sad serial killer, the failure. The Riddler becomes second fiddle to the Joker, where he's remained ever since. That's what makes this storyline so incredible and so epic in every sense of the word. And Tom King did a fantastic job. Guys, this is a really good story arc. There's so many things that can be said about it, so many hidden themes, hidden little gems along the way that you can pick up on it. Beautifully drawn by Janin. Good Lord. And of course, how can we possibly forget the ending where, of course, Selina, how could she say no to the wedding, to the marriage proposal? She says yes. And and it's worth noting some of the comments that Selina made about all this, because when Selina makes the comment to Bruce, what's the difference between a joke and a riddle? And it's like Selina says, it's not that deep, don't overthink this. What's the difference between a joke and a riddle? Selina's saying there is no difference. Who cares? Selina's entire purpose was Selina's entire point was saying, look, things don't have to make sense. Sometimes bad guys are just bad guys. Don't beat yourself up not knowing the answer to something. Some things don't need to have an answer. I mean, really, when you think about it. And this was Selina Kyle's point to Bruce, trying to get Bruce to realize that everything's going to be all right. Because it doesn't matter what the difference is between a joke and a riddle. Who cares? You can laugh at both. You can find neither funny. They can both be mysteries. It just doesn't matter. And that says something a lot about Selina Kyle's character. Because Selina's character throughout all this, Selina was the one character that didn't pick a side in the War of Jokes and Riddles. She was the one neutral party that never picked a side, and neither side could get one up on her. She overcame everything. And that was the one saving grace of Selina Kyle, and it really made Selina Kyle stand out, because even through the War of Jokes and Riddles, what was interesting here is that Selina Kyle didn't care. Catwoman didn't care about the War of Jokes and Riddles. And that's what makes it so telling in her comments to Bruce Wayne before accepting and saying yes to his marriage proposal. She's saying, what's the difference between the War of Jokes? What's the difference between a joke and a riddle? Her answer? Who cares? Now let's get married. I mean, That's the gist of it, and that's what I love about Selina Kyle. Tom King nails the characterizations here beautifully in a way that I don't think very few previous writers ever truly has. Scott Snyder has went overboard in his interpretation of the Joker. I wasn't a big fan of Scott Snyder's interpretation of the Joker. I'll be honest, I'm not really a big fan of Scott Snyder's interpretation of any of the villains, to be quite frank. But Tom King really understands the Riddler, really understands the Joker here. And because there's really not much to understand, because at the end of the day, the Riddler is just a psychopath. And the Riddler is just a psychopath too. They just have their own crazy methodologies that either make sense or they don't. But at the end of the day, who cares? Your job is to stop them and move on. And that was Selina's point to Batman. That's what makes this arc so great. I love this ending. I don't know if the idea of a marriage between Batman and Catwoman is a good idea. You know that probably something's going to go wrong. It's going to fall apart somehow because it's just Batman and it's the way things go in his life. But who knows? DC's really been hitting it up. They've been doing different things. They've been really making Marvel look stupid because they're really pushing the limits in terms of what can work and what can't work with their characters. They're focusing on their classic characters and actually changing and evolving their classic characters, unlike Marvel, who's completely abandoning them or pushing them to the wayside and then insulting their fans by calling them racists and bigots. I mean, Marvel Comics doesn't have a clue what they're doing, and it shows. But DC has a clear understanding, a clear direction. They're supporting their writers, and they're not jumping on this SJW bandwagon. DC is doing a fantastic job, and wow, this War of Jokes and Riddles, guys, this is really good stuff. So guys, pick it up. It's in the pages of Batman issues 24 to 32. Pick it up, or pick up the trades, get the digital, whatever you have to do. This is a series worth getting. Guys, Comic Boom, out.